And welcome to the Kiosk Presents. I'm here to talk about a fantastic shuttle. It orbited the Earth 4,848 times. It traveled nearly 126 million miles. It's more than 525 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. We're talking, of course, about the Space Shuttle Atlantis, and it's landing very soon at the Kennedy Space Center as its new permanent home. Joining me today is James Reilly, PhD in geosciences, former astronaut and U.S. Navy Reserve officer. Now, what sort of complications were involved in actually getting such an exhibit set up, other than just getting the bay doors open?
Oh, it was everything. If you think about it, if we had to get her transferred over here, rolled into the building, and we actually had to leave half or one side of the building open so we could get Atlantis inside. She was actually covered in shrink wrap. And then picked her up off the floor, tilted her to 43 degrees, which is how you'll see her when you come visit. Got her in position, took the shrink wrap off, and then opened the payload bay doors. And so all of that work had to get done, and the team here had some real technical challenges to make that happen. But as you can see behind me, they did a fantastic job making that display for us. And you'll literally be able to almost be close enough to touch Atlantis and walk around her and see her just the way she was when she was flying.
Well, Atlantis had some really interesting, it was sort of unique. It was the lightest shuttle that NASA had for a good while, and it also had an interesting feature where it was the only shuttle that hosted its own power when it was connected to the space station. All the other ones connected to the space station sort of leached power off that, but it sort of had its own extreme backup reserves of power.
A little bit. It was a great ride. I got a chance to ride it twice, and I got a chance to do my very first spacewalk out of Atlantis. So one of the things I got a chance to do is look past the tail and see the Earth going by, and we've recreated that experience for you when you come down and see it. And when I first saw it, it actually made me stop for just a couple of minutes and just sit there and stare at it, and it took me back to being on the end of the arm where I got a chance to see the Earth past the tail of the orbiter, and that was a gee whiz moment for me.
As someone who's seen the real thing, how close is the exhibit?
It is the real thing. I mean, when you walk out to see Atlantis, you'll see the scuffs and scars and everything that 33 missions put into her. You'll see the payload bay doors open, and with just very few exceptions, everything you see is flight articles. Now, we had to take all the propellants and stuff and clean up the tanks and everything that were part of the reaction control system jets. But just about everything else you see here is the real thing, and it will be exactly like the way she was when we flew her.
Well, I know everyone, Buffalo and West New York, or space enthusiasts, are definitely excited to see it. I know since in 2011, when Atlantis came down from its final flight, a lot of people were a little bit sad because of the ending of the shuttle program. But this is going to be a nice trip down memory lane for a lot of them, as well as for anyone who's interested in space, the stars, or anything like that. Thank you so much for bringing something like this to us so we can all see it.
My pleasure. In fact, looking forward to you guys coming down to see it. We've got a little bit of everything here for you. You'll get a chance to experience everything from the launch all the way through to you landing the shuttle in the simulators, and there's plenty for you to do. In addition to, of course, our Saturn V moonships, the tours, and getting to see the astronauts. We're here every day, get an opportunity to come talk to us one-on-one, and in the lunches, you can come see us as well. So we're here, we'd love to have you.
All right, I know Kennedy Space Center also has all sorts of temporary exhibits of different types. Everything from exhibits for the kids, such as like Angry Birds Space, I think is going on now, and other events. So there's a lot of new stuff happening every time you go.
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to have plenty for the kids to do. In fact, the kids are going to have a blast in this exhibit. We've got things that they're going to be able to crawl through and do, and they'll have a blast. The whole objective, of course, is to inspire that next generation of explorers, and that's part of what we're doing here with the Atlantis exhibit, as well as everything we do here at the Visitor Center.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, James. All right, if you have needed more information, you can go to kennedyspacecenter.com. If you want to learn more about space, you can always go to nasa.gov. But kennedyspacecenter.com will get you information on the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex and learn all about space, the exploration, and of course, the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Thank you, James.
My pleasure.